Picture this. It's 6:30 a.m. and Margaret, a vibrant 64-year-old grandmother from Ohio, sits down to what she's eaten every single morning for the past 15 years. She's convinced she's doing everything right for her heart. Her doctor even praised her breakfast choice years ago. But last month, during a routine checkup, her cardiologist delivered news that shook her to her core. Her arterial calcium score had increased dramatically, and the culprit was hiding in plain sight right there in her breakfast bowl. What if I told you that the very food you're counting on to protect your heart might actually be working against you? Today, we're going to uncover a breakfast betrayal that affects millions of people over 60, and the truth might completely change how you start your mornings. Let's talk about granola, that crunchy, seemingly wholesome breakfast champion that's been marketed as nature's perfect morning fuel. When you walk down the cereal aisle, those packages practically glow with health halos, pictures of whole grains, nuts, and dried fruits that promise energy and vitality. But here's what those cheerful packages aren't telling you. Most commercial granolas contain more sugar per serving than a glazed donut. Yes, you heard that right. That bowl of granola you're eating with such virtue might pack anywhere from 20 to 30 grams of sugar. And here's where it gets particularly concerning for those of us over 60. Our bodies process sugar differently as we age. Our insulin sensitivity decreases, meaning that morning sugar bomb doesn't just give us energy. It triggers a cascade of inflammatory responses that directly impact our arterial walls. Take Robert from Manchester, a 72-year-old retired teacher who religiously ate granola with yogurt every morning. He chose the organic brand, the one with the pictures of mountains and sunshine on the box. He felt he was making the healthy choice, especially compared to his younger days of bacon and eggs. But when his triglycerides shot up to dangerous levels, his nutritionist had him keep a food diary. They discovered his healthy breakfast was delivering nearly 40 grams of sugar before 8 a.m. That's more sugar than the American Heart Association recommends for an entire day for men his age. The oils used in most granolas present another hidden danger. To achieve that irresistible crunch, manufacturers often use cheap vegetable oils that are heated to high temperatures during processing. This creates inflammatory compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These compounds are particularly damaging to aging arteries, contributing to stiffness and plaque formation. Think of it like rust forming inside your pipes. Except these are the pipes that carry life-giving blood to your heart and brain. Now, you might be thinking, but I eat my granola with Greek yogurt. That makes it healthy, right? This brings us to our second point, the yogurt parfait trap that's become synonymous with healthy breakfast choices in coffee shops and kitchen tables across the Western world. Greek yogurt itself isn't the villain here. Plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt can indeed be part of a heart-healthy diet. But here's what happens in reality: most of us aren't eating plain yogurt. We're choosing flavored varieties that come pre-sweetened, or we're adding honey maple syrup or fruit preserves to make it palatable. Then we top it with that granola we just discussed, and sometimes we add dried fruits for good measure. Let me tell you about Jennifer, a 67-year-old from Sydney, who thought she'd crack the code on healthy eating. Every morning, she'd carefully layer vanilla Greek yogurt with granola and dried cranberries in a beautiful glass parfait dish. It looked like something from a health magazine. She even posted pictures of it on social media, inspiring her friends to follow suit. But when she developed pre-diabetes, her endocrinologist calculated that her Instagram-worthy breakfast contained 70 grams of sugar, nearly 18 teaspoons worth. The combination of dairy proteins with high sugar content creates what researchers call a glycemic double whammy for older adults. While the protein in yogurt does slow sugar absorption somewhat, it's not enough to offset the massive sugar load. Plus, many people over 60 have some degree of lactose intolerance they might not even be aware of, leading to low-grade inflammation that further stresses the cardiovascular system. This brings us to perhaps the most controversial point: the whole grain illusion that's been deeply embedded in our collective consciousness about healthy eating. For decades, we've been told that whole grain cereals and breads are the cornerstone of a heart-healthy breakfast. The food pyramid that many of us grew up with placed grains at its very foundation. But emerging research is painting a very different picture, especially for those of us in our 60s and beyond. When whole grains are processed into breakfast cereals, even the ones that proudly proclaim 100% whole grain on the box, they lose much of their beneficial fiber and nutrients. The mechanical processing breaks down the grain structure, making it rapidly digestible and causing blood sugar spikes that are nearly identical to those from refined grains. It's like the difference between eating an apple and drinking apple juice. Technically the same fruit, but vastly different effects on your body. Consider Tom from Phoenix, a 69-year-old veteran who switched from eggs and bacon to whole grain cereal with skim milk 20 years ago on his doctor's advice. He chose the bran flakes, the kind marketed specifically for heart health, with that reassuring red heart symbol on the box. For 2 decades, he felt virtuous about his choice, but his recent coronary calcium scan revealed significant arterial calcification. His cardiologist explained that the constant morning blood sugar spikes from his healthy cereal had been contributing to arterial inflammation and damage year after year. The insulin response triggered by these processed grains doesn't just affect blood sugar. In people over 60, chronically elevated insulin levels promote the production of small, dense LDL particles, the truly dangerous type of cholesterol that burrows into arterial walls and forms plaques. This is particularly concerning because our body's ability to clear these particles naturally decreases with age. Now, let's address the elephant in the room that sits on breakfast tables worldwide. That innocent-looking glass of orange juice or fruit smoothie that we've been told counts toward our daily fruit intake. This might be the most shocking revelation yet, especially for those who've faithfully drunk their morning juice for decades, believing they were flooding their bodies with vitamins and antioxidants. When you drink fruit juice, even freshly squeezed, you're essentially mainlining fructose directly into your bloodstream without any of the fiber that would naturally slow its absorption. A typical glass of orange juice contains the sugar from 6 to 8 oranges, but none of the fiber that would make eating that many whole oranges nearly impossible. Your liver, which processes fructose, becomes overwhelmed, especially as we age, and our metabolic flexibility decreases. Patricia, a 73-year-old retired nurse from London, learned this lesson the hard way. She'd been making fresh fruit smoothies every morning for years, blending oranges, bananas, mangoes, and berries into what she called her fountain of youth drink. She couldn't understand why her triglycerides kept climbing despite her healthy diet. When she finally consulted with a metabolic specialist, they discovered her morning smoothie contained nearly 80 grams of sugar, equivalent to drinking 2 cans of soda for breakfast. Fructose metabolism is particularly problematic for aging hearts. Unlike glucose, which can be used by every cell in your body, fructose must be processed by your liver. In people over 60, this processing creates uric acid as a byproduct, which directly damages the endothelial lining of your arteries. It also promotes the production of VLDL cholesterol, the type that's most likely to oxidize and form arterial plaques. Beyond the obvious sugar and processed grain culprits, there's a more insidious problem lurking in many healthy breakfast foods: hidden inflammation triggers that are particularly damaging to aging cardiovascular systems. These aren't ingredients you'd immediately recognize as harmful, which makes them especially dangerous for those trying to make heart-conscious choices. Seed oils, marketed as heart-healthy alternatives to butter, are present in almost every processed breakfast food, from granola bars to whole-grain waffles. Oils like soybean corn and sunflower oil are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. While we need some omega-6 in our diet, the modern Western breakfast has created a massive imbalance. Where our ancestors consumed omega-6 to omega-3 ratios of about 1:1, today's typical breakfast can deliver ratios of 20:1 or higher. This imbalance triggers what researchers call silent inflammation, a slow-burning fire in your arteries that doesn't cause obvious symptoms until significant damage has occurred. For people over 60, whose natural anti-inflammatory mechanisms have weakened with age, this creates a perfect storm for accelerated atherosclerosis. Let me share the story of David, a 68-year-old from Melbourne, who thought he was doing everything right. He'd switched to heart-healthy margarine, cooked his morning eggs in vegetable oil, and chose whole-grain toast from the bakery. He even sprinkled flax seeds on everything for extra omega-3s. But his C-reactive protein levels, a marker of inflammation, remained stubbornly high. It wasn't until he eliminated the seed oils and switched to olive oil and grass-fed butter that his inflammation markers finally dropped to healthy levels. Here's something that might surprise you while we're loading up on sugars and processed grains at breakfast. Most people over 60 are critically under-consuming protein in their morning meal. This creates a double problem for arterial health that goes beyond simple nutrition. When you start your day with a carbohydrate-heavy, protein-light breakfast, you set off a metabolic roller coaster that stresses your cardiovascular system all day long. Without adequate protein to stabilize blood sugar, you experience rapid spikes and crashes that trigger cortisol release. Chronic cortisol elevation, especially common in older adults who already have higher baseline cortisol levels, directly contributes to arterial stiffening and hypertension. Moreover, inadequate protein intake at breakfast means missed opportunities for muscle protein synthesis. After age 60, we lose muscle mass at an accelerated rate, a condition called sarcopenia. This muscle loss doesn't just affect strength, it dramatically impacts metabolic health. Less muscle means less glucose disposal capacity, higher insulin resistance, and increased cardiovascular risk. Susan from Texas, a 70-year-old grandmother, discovered this connection firsthand. She'd been eating toast with jam and coffee for breakfast for 40 years. She thought protein was something for bodybuilders, not necessary for someone her age. But when she started falling frequently, and her blood pressure became harder to control, her geriatrician recommended she dramatically increase her morning protein intake. Within 3 months of switching to eggs and Greek yogurt for breakfast, not only did her strength improve, but her blood pressure medications were reduced by half. Our final point might be the most revolutionary yet. It's not just what you eat for breakfast, but when and how often you eat that impacts your arterial health after 60. The conventional wisdom of breakfast is the most important meal of the day is being challenged by compelling research on meal timing and cardiovascular health in older adults. Many of us have been conditioned to eat breakfast immediately upon waking, whether we're hungry or not. But forcing food when your body isn't ready can disrupt natural hormonal rhythms that are already becoming less robust with age. Cortisol naturally peaks in the morning to help us wake up. Eating during this peak, especially carbohydrate-rich foods, can create an exaggerated insulin response that promotes arterial inflammation. Furthermore, the constant grazing pattern many adopt, breakfast, mid-morning, snack lunch, afternoon, snack, dinner, evening snack, never gives our cardiovascular system a break from processing food. This constant fed state keeps insulin levels chronically elevated, preventing the cellular cleanup processes that naturally occur during fasting periods. Richard, a 75-year-old from Birmingham, experienced a remarkable transformation when he shifted to a compressed eating window. Instead of his usual 6 a.m. granola and juice, he began breaking his fast at 10 a.m. with a protein-rich meal. His evening meal ended by 6 p.m., giving his body a 16-hour rest from digestion. Within 6 months, his arterial stiffness measurements improved by 30%, and his cardiologist was amazed at the reduction in his arterial age. So, what should you eat instead? The answer isn't complicated, but it does require rethinking everything we've been told about breakfast. Focus on whole, unprocessed foods that our grandparents would recognize. Think eggs, prepared any way you enjoy them, cooked in olive oil or grass-fed butter. Consider full-fat Greek yogurt. Yes, full fat, as the fat helps slow sugar absorption and provides satiety. Add a handful of raw nuts not roasted in seed oils. Include vegetables. Yes, vegetables for breakfast. A spinach and mushroom omelet provides more nutrients and stable energy than any cereal ever could. If you must have something sweet, choose whole berries, blueberries, raspberries, or strawberries, which provide antioxidants with minimal sugar impact when eaten in moderation. Half a cup is plenty. Replace your juice with water, herbal tea, or black coffee. If you enjoy coffee with milk, use whole milk or cream rather than skim. The fat helps buffer caffeine's effects on cortisol. Most importantly, listen to your body. If you're not hungry first thing in the morning, don't force it. Breaking your fast later in the morning when true hunger signals appear might be the best thing you can do for your arterial health. The path to better arterial health doesn't require dramatic overnight changes. Start with one substitution. Replace your granola with nuts. Swap your juice for water with lemon. Choose eggs over cereal just 3 days a week. Small changes consistently applied create remarkable results over time. Remember Margaret from the beginning of our story 6 months after discovering how her healthy granola breakfast was affecting her arteries. She's made simple switches. Her morning now starts with 2 eggs, sautéed vegetables, and a small portion of berries. Her latest scan showed not just a halt in arterial calcification, but actual improvement in arterial flexibility. Her doctor called it remarkable. Margaret calls it common sense once you know the truth. Your arteries have been faithfully serving you for over 60 years. They've adapted to countless challenges, recovered from countless insults. But they need your help now more than ever. The breakfast choices you make tomorrow morning and every morning after will either support their health or slowly undermine it. I want to hear from you. What breakfast food surprised you the most in today's discussion? Have you noticed any changes in your health that might be connected to your morning meal choices? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to make a positive change. If this information opened your eyes to the hidden dangers in your breakfast, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel for more myth-busting health content, specifically designed for those of us navigating health after 60. And please share this video with someone you care about. That morning, granola they're eating might be doing more harm than they could ever imagine. Your health is your wealth, especially in these golden years. Let's make sure every morning starts with choices that truly nourish and protect the amazing body that's carried you this far. Thank you for watching, and here's to mornings that heal rather than harm.